episode 5 of the Pocket of Wisdom podcast on King Canvas. On this podcast, I like to invite godly people from different walks of life to share their life experiences and wisdom. On the past 2 episodes, I had a privilege to speak to my friend about singlehood and purity. So if you have not checked that out, it's available on YouTube and Spotify. And today, I have with me a sincere and passionate God-loving couple. They are Ananias and Yvonne. So guys, would you do us the honors of introducing yourselves?
Hi Deborah, and thank you so much for inviting us to your podcast. And yeah, hi to the audience of King Canvas, and I'm Ananias, and this is Yvonne, and both of us are husband and wife, and we are happily married for 1.5 years now, and counting. And we are very blessed with a beautiful daughter named Hannah as well. And personally, I'm a life planning advisor with Great Eastern. And currently, I'm also running a personal financial consultation company named Financial Fitness Coach Malaysia. So, in short, it's called FinFit Coach. So, back to you.
Hi everyone, I'm Yvonne. So I've been working for 7 years and I'm a fine life insurance advisor from Great Eastern and also a bit writer. So I help my clients plan from their finances from their life to death.
That is amazing. And from the way they introduce themselves, I'm pretty sure that you have a good idea of what we are going to talk about today. And so, the title of today's discussion is Money Habits, Misconception, and Best Practices. And having known Ananias and Yvonne for such a long time, I've known them for their integrity and how they love God and serve the Lord. So I'm very sure that you are going to be blessed today. So, Ananias and Yvonne, why is money such a close topic to your heart?
Okay, all right. So based on my experience and what I've learned or throughout the years, I'm growing up as a teenager, and then as an adult now, that we once we are born to this world, we have already started using money indirectly or directly from our parents. So when we are baby, then who's actually paying for the hospital bill? Yeah, it's our parents. So, and that actually taught me that we need to be vigilant in our own resources. And in the book of Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 23, it says that know well the condition of your flocks and give attention to your herds. So in that context, right, if you are an Israelite, when Proverbs are written, it's likely that your flocks will be the sign of your wealth. And a wise owner would hire good and thoughtful shepherds who would watch over and care for their livestock. So it was important for every one of them to be accounted for and protected. And in the same way, a wise person is going to give thoughtful and care to their finances and portfolio. So much is lost from one of diligent attention. So, and back to my own personal experience that I learned when I was very young, I learned how to save money at a very young age during my years in primary school because um, I would say my parents give me maybe like 1 or 2 ringgit, and from there onwards they will ask me, yeah, this amount of money I given to you, it depends how you want to spend or how you want to save it. But for me myself, I told my wow, why not I just pack bread with jam and go to school. So every day I was able to save 1 or 2 ringgit. So my parents actually taught me the value of money, and it is hard to come by and to buy the things that I want. So I would have to save up in order to buy. Like for example, like we last time we used to have this huge camp or like Christian camp, this and that,
Yes.
or when you buy anything, then my parents say, oh, if you want to go, you will have to save your money. I mean, yeah, that's your wants. So you have to save it up and go for it. So you appreciate it. So slowly, I started to differentiate what's the difference between things that could appreciate in value and depreciate in value. Yeah.
So
So good. Yvonne, what about you?
yeah, okay, for me, I definitely do not grow up with a silver spoon. And back then, life was tough for my parents. So My dad was very careful with money, and every time when he spent money, right, he would want to save every penny for our family expenses. So thriftiness is part and parcel of our daily life. So for example, when my dad would work marketing, he would compare prices, like he would get the brochure from, like for example, Aeon, Tesco. If you want to buy like shampoo or Dettol, right, he will definitely wait for sale. He will look at the brochure and say, "Oh, this one got sale." Then only he will start buying. If not, he won't buy. So he will come if he got time. He will go to he will just window shop. Then he will just compare prices, and if it's a good deal, then he will buy. And then he'll come back and share. Oh, you see, Daddy know how to save this money. See how much money I save. So every time from young he will like cycle us, how much money he will save. So it become part and parcel of my life, like money must save. That's how I grew up like in this our family. So it's quite close to my heart when it comes to finance.
That is so good. And hearing from the patterns of your story, a lot of the money related values that the both of you have, it came from the good examples of your parents. And as kids, you have learned from their model, and it has seeped into your habits and even your careers today. And so, as I heard you guys share, I was reminded of uh, a research that I did recently. So I'm just gonna share it with you guys. Did you know that the word love is mentioned approximately 300 to 500 times in the Bible,
Mhm.
depending on which version you're reading? And there are about 500 verses in the Bible about faith and prayer, but there are more than 2,000 verses about money in the Bible. And I think that is a very good indicator for us to know that God wants us to be really intentional and to be good stewards of money. So, with that being said, Ananias and Yvonne, in your perspective, what is the foundational understanding that we should have about money?
Wow, that was a good research that you've done, and yeah, I believe so that the Bible teaches that wisdom and money provides security. And in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, verse 12, it says that for the protection of wisdom is like the protection of money. So the author of Ecclesiastes wants the reader to understand the value of wisdom, so he compare it to money because people hold or look at money, the value of money is very close to their heart. So wisdom is equally important as well, how we actually live our life. So both give you a sense of security and shelter, and living wisely has the benefit of receiving God's blessing. And for me, saying that money is a tool or a means for us to use to actually trade goods and services. We will
Mm.
allocate it efficiently to save, to bless, to spend, and to invest wisely.
Mm. Yeah, and for me, I believe you need to know where the money come from. And if you know
Mm.
where the money come from, you learn to appreciate it more. And because money does not come easy, so we must know how to earn it, and we must know how to save it as well, and must know how to bless others with money. So that's for me.
Yeah, that's so good. I think especially when we start working is when we really start to recognize where the money comes from,
Mhm.
because as you have shared, like when we were younger, we don't feel that pinch because our parents will still, give it to us and we are just blessed to just use it.
Mhm.
But once we start working, we start to feel that pinch. And um, I totally agree with what Anna and I just shared, and it's so good. Money and wisdom provides security.
Mhm.
And you also mentioned that money should be seen as a tool, as a means, and not as a goal. But it's a very good tool to get what we need in our lives. And so, moving on, right, I would like to share a research that I did recently. This is an article that came out late last year, and it says that between 2015 and 2019, about 85,000 Malaysians below the age of 25 were declared bankrupt. And according to Hydra's management founder and consultant Rohani Mohammed Shahir, the main reason for bankruptcy at a young age is the five series loans: personal, education, car, home, and credit card. So, from your experience, right, what are your thoughts on that? And do you think our current and coming generation are financially literate?
Well, for me, yes and no. Loans, immediately after I started, no, immediately after I finished education, I already have education loan, PT, So
Yeah.
I haven't even started working. I have to pay up my debt.
Yeah.
So, so for me, right, majority will people know about money, but actually many don't know how to control money. You know, but
Yeah.
instead they let money control them. So hence the cycle starts when they become a slave to money instead of becoming a master of it. So if you know how to use credit cards, you know how to use loans, it will benefit you. But if you don't know, then you will kind of, it's actually loans and credit card is double-edged sword lah. So it cuts both ways.
Yeah.
So if you don't know how to control it, they are given a huge credit limit on their credit card to utilize. And if you don't know how this future money works, right, they don't know, they have to pay over a period of time. If you don't fulfill it, then you incur hefty interest charges, and that's where the persons that keep on rolling.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think I'm very thankful for myself that my education loan has been waived. I got good grades, and then I do not need to pay
Praise
back
God.
PT, and yeah, thankfully, thank God for it. And there's a huge sum actually. And then yeah, I would say that yes, but there are two sides of the coins due to the easy access to the internet, and most people are on social media. So there are communities that advocate the importance of financial literacy, and people are aware of it definitely compared to our previous generations. And now knowledge or any of knowledge are so easily accessible through the internet.
Yeah.
But knowing it is one thing, and to identify whether it's the right or the wrong thing is also another thing. And by practicing, by taking action consistently with discipline on a daily basis is altogether differently as well.
Yeah. That is so true. It's not that we don't know what to do. We definitely have um, access to know the right ways to use our money. It's a matter of course, there are certain circumstances where it's out of our control. But aside from that, it's a matter of do we want to put it into practice
Yeah,
or
yeah.
not,
I
right?
I think
And yeah.
yeah, I think I will put this for some life example that I've actually
Mm,
seen or experienced before. That I think these financial tools, right, are a good use for us if we know how to utilize it properly. For example, like
mm,
credit cards. So when talk about credit cards, right, they are actually, I've seen people or have friends actually use what you call this balance transfer. Balance transfer is whereby, like, I have like a friend of mine who has this loan, then he has this debt of like 50,000 or more. How you structure his education loan to not to pay all of 50,000, he actually used credit card to actually swipe 50,000 first, and then he applied another few more credit cards and transfer the 50,000 and break it into uh, smaller tranches, like from 50,000 break it to like 10,000, 10,000. So, and all these are no
right.
interest, and then it's zero interest because the banks are giving promotions. So from then onwards, like, he was able to actually stretch out his cash flow and do not need to pay immediately with 50,000. So that is how we utilize credit card efficiently. But we must have discipline
Mm,
and to have this self control to use it wisely. And we are talking about loan interest, and now it's actually all time low. And people will say that it's actually cheaper to borrow money and to actually buy houses for investments or to invest.
Mm.
And that's how we actually utilizing capital efficiently without having to use our own money. But it requires, like we always say, it requires very good discipline and monitoring of our balance sheet from being over leveraged. Over leveraged means we over borrow. Yeah.
Mm. Wow. So the pattern that I'm hearing is that we need to be disciplined. And if we want to, it's not that the items are bad. Credit card is a credit card. If you know how to use it wisely, if you can be disciplined with it, go ahead.
Yes.
However, if you know you struggle with control and whatnot, maybe there is a better way to do things. And like drawing from what you want shared, you need to learn to be a master of it. If not, if you don't learn to be a master of how you use your money, then you're allowing the money to control you. And so, as we move on to the next question, which is quite related to what we all just shared, what are some of the common bad habits you think that we have with money?
Okay, this is easy. I think one of it is peer pressure. Um,
That is a big one. Yeah.
yeah, because it all depends. Peer pressure is depends on who you spend time with, who are your friends, and who do you
Yeah.
look up to. Right now, you realize once we start working, right, when we have money and then we have different kinds of friends. So we have colleagues, we have other friends, and as much as we want to hang out with them, right, who you mix with is going to determine how you spend money. If let's say
Yeah.
you have a friend that love to save money um, and will always mind how much where they go for makan, and if let's say that person likes to save money and would prefer spending less on money, maybe go for economy rice or maybe having a going to a cafe that is a cheaper slightly cheaper food lah. Then if you go out with them, right, you tend to spend less as well because you care for that person's pocket and that person care for your pocket
Yeah.
as well. Um, com- in another way, if let's say your friends are those that who want to spend money, that focus on lifestyle, focus on feeling good, you tend to overspend as well because you want to be like them. You want to be
Mm.
as good looking as them, taking the trendiest handbag, it's always posting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you want to focus on OOTD in Instagram. So it's really about who you spend with. So peer pressure is very, very, quite a serious thing when it comes to bad habit. And also not committing to a financial goal being set. So if let's say New Year, of course, you will have those resolution. Oh, I want to save 30K a year. But then saying is one thing, acting is on it is another thing. So um,
Yeah.
it's really hard to control money. Yeah. And when you set a financial goal, we tend to not achieving it at the end of the year. So it's a new resolution again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what me lah.
And then I think for me, one of the most prevalent common habits that we have in
Mm.
our society currently or in our generation would be actually the bad habit of like having instant gratification, because now we are living in the world whereby
Yeah.
um, patience is so underrated, and living thriftily is so underrated. And with everything going instant, like from instant food, instant, what do you call it, instant services or anything, our generation wants it to be fast, everything to be fast to think. So it has actually ingrained in us that to have something, right, we don't need to wait, we can just have it. So instant
Yeah.
gratification, I would say that it's one of the bad habits. And then in financial planning, instant gratification cannot be applied, because financial planning, it takes time to actually
Yes.
to plan ahead. And then with
Yeah.
everything instant, right, we will tend to be impulsive in our spending.
Yeah. That is so true. And being impulsive has a lot to do with um, controlling our emotions as well. I think Ananias, you have
Yeah.
discussed that before
Yep.
as well, right? And I think you brought up the very important point of the issue of instant gratification. And as people, if we want to persevere and do well in life, we have to learn to appreciate delayed gratification.
Yep.
And delayed gratification is, as what Ananias shared, the resistance to the temptation of immediate pleasure in the hopes of obtaining a valuable and long lasting reward in the long term. So that is something that we should learn to apply in a society where we can achieve everything in a snap of a finger. Order on Shopee, next day receive. It's like everything we can get so fast.
Yep.
And Yvonne brought up a very, very important point, which is peer pressure. And we should really, I think, as what Yvonne said, learn to care for each other's wallet, learn to have compassion, because most of us, our friends, and we living among different groups of people, we all earn differently. And if everyone want to spend time together, then how do we do that?
Yeah.
Someone who is earning higher would probably be like, I want to go to this cafe or that cafe, which is not wrong because they can afford it,
Yep.
right?
Mm.
But what about the other person who is, you are aware because you are friends with them that they earn lesser? So as the person who is maybe even earning more, could we also learn to be like, hey, why don't let's go and have chap fun today or something like that? Because I think from experience we also know that sometimes the person who is earning lesser may even reject coming out because they will just say, oh no lah, I'm busy today. And actually the reason is because maybe they don't have the financial means to spend the way some of the other friends spend, right? So if we want to spend time with some of the people we care about, could we also learn to just, hey, today let's just go Chapana or Mama, which is amazing,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's this quote which is always used, I don't remember where it's from, but they'll say, show me your friends and I show you your future. And bad company corrupts good habits,
Yeah.
which is very true. And we should really learn to appreciate the delayed gratification that comes with good habits. And that will have a long term effect lah, on our lives.
I think it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, we are the average of the five people that we mingle with in our life, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And in relation to what we have also just discussed, right? What are some of the misconceptions that we have about saving or financial planning? Yeah.
hmm One of the misconception is the need to spend to have friends. It's like I'm just not
Yeah.
sure because it depends on what kind of friends do you have. We gotta be friends with people that have the same financial value and belief system as you. Um, like for example, like there's one incident that happened to me. Like maybe last year, I have
Mm.
have lunch date with a group of my friends, and that this particular friend that suddenly just asked me out of sudden, say, "Hey, Yvonne, I realize, you don't really have entertainment ones." Then I'm like, eh, how come you say that? Maybe because like I don't really post yamcha session with my friend, So I'm like, I
Mm.
was caught off guard when she said that. I'm like, does she mean that I don't have friends? It's like behind my mind, I'm thinking like that. So maybe I just reply her, yeah, lor, I don't really spend much on entertainment because that's true, that's me. Because my
Mm.
entertainment is not going out so much on cafe hopping or karaoke. That's not my kind of entertainment, but that is her kind of entertainment. That's why she
Mm.
will ask me that kind of question because that's her life. I do understand that for her, her kind of entertainment is where she will always go out and hang out with friends and use quite a lot of money lah on all of this. And
Yeah.
for me, my kind of entertainment is um, going out, having to hang out, having badminton session with my friend, maybe mamak session, a simple mamak session with my friends. That's my kind of entertainment, you know. Um, so so when she asked me, I'm like, she probably think that I've got no friend at all. so um, so I don't think we need to have money. We spend money to have friends. No lah. For me, it's very different.
Mm.
And when we have friends around us that like to save and have budget in the long run, I believe that that kind of friendship will be more solid, way better because in Proverbs 21 verse 20 it says that a wise man save for his future. We need to be responsible with our spending because
Yeah.
it really depends on how much we save right now. It depends how much we have in the future.
And for me, would be one of the biggest misconception in personal finance that is about investing is that you need to wait until you have a lot of money then only to start investing. And I think,
Mm.
and it's not true, because I myself don't start with a lot of money, but I start from very small big funds, and slowly it grows bigger. And definitely I can do it, and others can do it as well. You can start small and slowly build it up. So
Mm.
in the Bible, what it teaches us that we must grow what we are given. So in the book of Matthew chapter 25 verse 14 to 30, it talks about the parables of talents, you see. And this is another example of a financial parables that Jesus used to communicate a spiritual truth. Here he wants to teach us stewarding the gifts he has entrusted to us. These
Yeah.
could be the talents or abilities, or they might be the very message of grace that He has entrusted us with. We don't have
Mm.
all received the same gifts, but we all are expected to return our master's investments. So Jesus' use of the parables help us to understand a spiritual principle while giving us a peek um, into the financial practice of the day and the wisdom of wisely investing our capital.
Yeah, that is so good. I love what Yvonne brought up about thinking that you need to have money to have friends, and that is not um, the right way to think about money, because we cannot be relating money to our self-worth, and we cannot attach it to our identity, because money is, at the end of the day, is a tool, right?
Mm,
And yeah, what Ananias brought up is so true, that when it comes to investing, we can actually, if we are disciplined, we can start young. We don't even need to have a lot. We just, I think the word that keeps coming back is discipline.
Yep.
Can you be disciplined
Mm.
or not, right?
And there's
Yeah.
one more biggest misconception in personal
Mm.
finance, which risk management is that we don't need insurance because nothing will happen to us. Because in financial planning,
Mm.
there is um, risk management, there's wealth accumulation, there's um, wealth distribution, but what the most
Yeah.
important one is risk management. So um, by having insurance, right, we could lower down our downside financial risk by many folds, and we
Yeah.
have a peace of mind financially if an unfortunate event struck upon us. So to me, in my line, in my field of my work, right, I would also believe that um, having insurance is very important, and it's also as equally important as saving money as well. Because even though if you save so much money, right, in the end, if you do not have a protection to protect your savings, something happens to us, then whatever you have saved in the long run will eventually not, that money will not be yours. You cannot guarantee that money is yours because end up giving somebody else.
Yeah.
Mm.
That is very true. We need to prepare for the rainy day.
Yeah.
On the day that something, of course, we don't wish that upon anyone, but we can't deny that life, anything can happen anytime. And we need to always be ready to prepare for that rainy day. And that's why having insurance and saving, all these are very important. So this also leads us to the next question, which is, what are some healthy habits that we should start developing?
Okay, I think the first most foundational habit should be on learning on how to save first. And because
Mm.
if let's say you start earning money and you don't save, and there's not much planning, financial planning can be done, because whatever it comes in at the end it goes out. So why is there any
Yeah.
resources to plan? So that is the most foundational habit. We should learn how to save first, and now is always the best time to save, not later. As always,
Yes.
to keep our downside risk is to check covered by insurance, as we can't predict if an accident might happen to us in future.
Yeah.
And I would say that discipline, like we always go back to being disciplined in our financial plan, is that as human, we are driven to achieve goals and dreams, and these goals and dreams require money in order to achieve. So it will propel us to save even more diligently, and we can't
Yeah.
actually just, oh, all right, save because you want to save money, but you must have a goal or a dream attached to it, so you are driven to save towards that goal. And where
Mm.
I would say where on how to actually save is that it's best to use an app in our mobile phone to track our expenses and income, so
Right.
we'll know on a daily basis or monthly basis how much we earn and spend. And along the months, you'll be able to gauge a trend of your spending habits and the consistency of your
Mm.
saving. So when we realize that there's a spike in a particular category of expenses, we could control it specifically and reduce the expenses. Like for example, like you when you start spending money and you realize, oh wow, this month I think I've gone to the cinema quite often, because you can see that wow, the cost of the spending expenses of going to cinema has increased a lot. So from there, right, you can actually pinpoint what are your spending habits, and from there onwards you can reduce it. And how do
Yeah.
we uh, do on saving is that we can actually start with a daily budget or a monthly budget on how much you can spend every day.
Mm. Yeah, that is so good. It's not just about saving, it's about learning to budget.
Yep.
And that is something that I think we always hear and we say yes, 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 but we never actually do it. And
Yeah.
if we don't budget, we are not tracking where our money is going.
Correct.
And when we are not tracking, then we don't know where our money is going.
Yes. Yes.
And that's when at the end of the month, we're always like, oh no, I'm broke.
Yeah. Where money goes to.
Yeah. Oh no, my bank account empty already.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that we are so used to hearing. Ayo, no more money already. I no more money
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
But if we learn to track, if we learn to set aside this amount of money I will use here, this amount of money, this amount of money for my bills, this amount to spend, this amount for my friends, this amount to give to church, to
Yeah.
tithe,
Thanks.
to give to the poor. If we actually budget it nicely, we can, if we can physically see, like, or just know where our money is going to, we will start to, as what you have said, get control
Mm.
and know um, how to be better stewards of our money,
Mm.
right? So, as we come to the end of this episode, what are your final thoughts and encouragement you want to give to our listeners?
I think our final thoughts will be, it is best to inculcate the habit of saving. From a monetary perspective, is when you have a sizable amount of savings, you have many choices in life to do what you love to do. And on the habitual
Mm,
side, it trains you to be more disciplined and have better control over your own finances. And actually, it ties in very um, closely with the Bible on the teachings of the fruit of the Holy Spirit. Some of it is actually related in how we manage our finances. For example, like having patience. Having patience is about having delayed gratification, and not to actually overspend, or knowing that if to actually spend within our means and you want to have something, it's best to actually allocate it and save for a period of time to have it, rather than if you have a credit card and then you straight away just spend and you can't pay for it, you will incur a lot of interest. So having patience is very important. be it in investing
Mm.
or any other financial pillars. And secondly, will be like having faithfulness. Faithfulness is that God actually taught us that be faithful in little, and God will definitely bless us with more. So if you are not faithful in little
Mm.
things, how are we able to manage bigger stuff? For example, if you can't if we can't even handle 1,000, what makes us think that we can handle 10,000 or 100,000,
Yeah.
or in future, or if you have like a million? That's why you heard stories like, wow, people have win lottery and they get like 1 million or 2 3 million, then in the span of 1 year they can just finish it. You must be wondering, how can they
Yeah.
finish 1 or 2 million in just 1 year? Wow, it's like crazy, right? So
Yeah.
so that's why money is actually just a tool. And what makes money so what do you call it, they say the money is so rude and liver that but I believe it's not, because it's the person, the holder itself, actually not able to control their emotions
Mm.
or their spending habits that leads to not being able faithful in bigger things.
Mm.
So, and that also leads us to the next, which is gentleness. Gentleness is being calm. And when you want to buy something, we need to be logical rather than emotional. You need to ask ourselves, do we actually need it? Is it a necessity,
Yeah.
or actually is it a desire or a want? And so
Yeah.
you actually go back home and think, oh, do I really need this phone? Do I really need this camera? How does it actually add value to my life? Is it because more of
Yeah.
like just for pure leisure purposes, or is it because for your work or for business? So we have to think calmly and gently, knowing that what is it good in the long run? Is it practical or not? And last but not least would be self-control. Self-control is it's very hard nowadays to actually practice this, and you're able to have
Yeah.
self-control not just in your financial journey or your financial plan. It actually helps you a lot in other areas of our lives. So God actually give us wisdom in terms of having stewardship is foundational. And one of the definition of stewardship is to note that people who have yielded control over their finances to Christ habitually honor him in their financial decision and steward
Mm.
resources that he has provided. So budgeting resources and control spending is a wise stewardship. So like what goes back to the most fundamental is that do you need something, or do you simply want it? This question is at the heart of a good stewardship. So budgeting, having being good stewardship, is the control valve to spending and to money, and to money worship. So budgeting allows you to control your desire rather than allow your desire to control you. So
Yeah.
to end this session, I would say that in the book of Mark, chapter 8, verse 36, it says that money can be a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. So for what shall it
Yeah.
profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and loses his own soul? Yep.
Wow, that is so much wisdom in like the past 2 minutes that you have just shared.
Yeah.
And to draw out what you've mentioned, um, we should really recognize that we are supposed to be stewards of money. And if we are stewards, that means God is the source of our money. God
Mm,
is the one who is our provider. And I think the challenge here is to recognize God as the source of everything that we have, including our money. And also learn not to be emotionally attached to the items that
Yeah.
we have,
yep.
but to learn to be attached to the goals and the dreams that God has placed in our hearts, as what you said, right?
Yep.
And just to sum up like the overall discussion that we also have is to remember not to allow money to become masters of
Mm,
us, because that would mean that we are worshipping money.
mm,
And this in in order to do that, we also have to be aware of our surroundings, and that includes our friends and
mm,
our habits,
mm,
because if we value that friend, we want to spend time with them, right? And sometimes maybe we need to be aware if they can afford it,
mm,
and if they can't, can we come down a bit to their level and recognize that you can have a great mamak session or just tapao go to their house. Why not?
yeah,
Ask them come to your house. That is also very fun. And I am so thankful for the both of y'all to come on this podcast today. You both have shared so much wisdom, and I'm thankful for it. So thank you, Ananias and Yvonne, for
no
being
problem.
here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Thank you so much.
And I hope that you out there have been blessed by today's podcast as well. If you want to learn more about financial planning, you can head on to their social media channels. I will attach it in the description. Von Graham and FinFit Coach.
Yep.
Did I get that correct?
Yeah,
Yes, I got
correct.
that correct. That's awesome. Go and engage with them, talk with them. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to speak with you as well. And before I go, I just want to remind everyone that to remember that everyone has a pocket of wisdom to offer, and that includes you as well. So take care, have a blessed week ahead, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.